I have the seat all the way back and all the way down to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. It's actually pretty good. I actually have to pull it up. I'm 6 feet tall, so I have to pull it up just a little bit, and then it becomes, yeah, about 3 or 4 inches. So if you're over 6 feet tall, shouldn't have any problems. So lots of foot room basically, and the angle of the footrest is nice, and I can reach the pedals and everything. So yeah, this is all good. Lots of room here on the right and left of my legs. Now there's a lot of features in this vehicle. So let's go ahead and start here on the door. So right in here, this is the power window switches at one touch up and down. You have the power side mirrors, and then you have a power fold side mirror, in which you have an automatic function. If you turn on the automatic function, when you lock the doors, it'll go ahead and power fold those side mirrors. You can power fold them manually by pressing that button. So it'll power fold them in, press it again, it'll power fold them out. You do have 2 presets for the power seats here. And I like the way the door is designed with the pockets here and at the bottom. I like this part right here. This little midsection shelf to put some stuff is great. It has like these little MOLLE attachments here on the sides as well. Now right in here, it has so like the headlights, you're able to lower them. If you scroll this wheel down, it's gonna lower the headlights. If you go all the way up to 0 like that, this will be the highest position. So that is what your default setting is. So you adjust your headlights are already adjusted for a particular height. But for whatever reason, let's say you're towing a trailer, or if you have something in the back, whatever it is where your headlights are just sticking up too high because of the position of the vehicle, you can lower these. So you just pull this down and it'll slowly lower the cutoff for the headlights. This is the dimmer switch for the interior gauges. You just press on that button and cycle through. So you can see it cycles through the different brightnesses here, and then it goes back to the beginning. To release the fuel doors here, automatic high beams, you can turn that on, has a indicator light. Traction control off, default is on, but if you need to spin tires for whatever reason, you can turn it off here. To turn on your power inverter, you can turn it on here, and it has an on light. And then you have the ability to open up the power liftgate from the driver's seat. You have 3 auxiliary switches, so this is where you can, or 4 of them, you can actually install additional lights or whatever you need to install. These are extra switches you can use. Down here it has the light bar, fog lights, and then you have the like a cargo light back there. So you can toggle that on whether you want it to have it on the door with the door opening or whatever. Now the light bar will not turn on with the low beams. It only turns on with the high beams. Fog lights are only for your low beams, so they'll turn off with your high beams. So when you turn on the light bar, when you turn your high beams on, it'll turn that on as well. So that way you can quickly turn it off. So you don't want to blind other drivers, because it is quite bright. It has the Rigid Industries fog lights. They're in yellow, which is interesting. A lot of modern vehicles have white fog lights, but yellow is actually pretty good for fog. So the steering wheel, it has a lot of buttons here, but it's pretty straightforward. This bottom part here and right here, it corresponds with the radio. So there's your volume for the radio, voice recognition, change through your tracks, and then your audio source is the mode button. Now above that, you have the cruise control here on the right side. So you have the adaptive cruise control, but you can toggle regular cruise control on or off here with this button. You actually initiate the cruise control with that button, and you can adjust the speed, resume right here, and then cancel. Lane departure warning system, or lane keeping system, or lane tracing is what Toyota calls it. You can activate there, and it actually works pretty well. You can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you with the adaptive cruise control with this button here. You just cycle through the distances. Here on the left side of the steering wheel, these buttons, other than the phone button, corresponds with the screen here, which is basically the gauges. We'll get to that in just a minute. Windshield wiper controls are here for the front and rear. It doesn't have any rain sensing or anything, but it just does have intermittent. Pretty straightforward, I guess. Headlight switches here. It does have a DRL off, automatic parking and headlights on. And then you have a fog light separate control here. So you're probably asking yourself, what's the deal with the fog light switch here when there's one down here? Now this fog light switch toggles on the Rigid Industries fog light, the yellow. So you have, let me go ahead and turn it on here. So you have yellow and white. So you can choose the different color with this switch. The gauge cluster is basically a screen, and it has some customization, which we'll go over. But right now, it just, it has the the time, the outside temperature, digital speedometer. It has these dials here, which you can customize if you want to have dials or not. You can do that. And then you have information in the sides. But you notice inside each dial, there's information there, there, and there. And that's where you can customize. So using these buttons here, we have a left, right, we have up, down, we have a back button. Those are the primary buttons we're going to use. So if I just kind of like scroll left and right, it basically changes the information that we have in the center of those 3 different places. And there's 3 different setup options. Basically, you can set up 3 different views with the different positions there. Now, if we want to change that, we can go in here, hold the OK button. So remember the OK button there in the center. Now we can scroll left or right, that one, or that one. Choose what we want by scrolling up and down. All right, select that, go to the middle. We'll choose something different here. We'll just go to blank. And then we'll go to the left one and we'll choose something different. We'll just go to navigation, which would just be the, right now it'd just be the digital compass. So you can see you can customize it. Now, if we go back out of that and then we scroll left and right, that's one of the options. Those 3 different things that I just chose are one of the 3 options here. All right, so if we want to change the way this actually looks, we can press and hold the OK button, go down here to settings, select that. Now we can go through and turn things on or off, different safety features, like rear cross traffic alert, stuff like that, roadside assistance. But in the vehicle settings, right here, let me just show you that first, you have more stuff. All right, so let's go back out of that. Right here is the meter settings. We'll choose that, and then we can choose the language, the units, meter type. So we'll start with that one. So this one is that dial type. We can have a center dial, or we can have no dial, and it's just numbers, right? So let's go back to the dial type, since that's where we started. Let's go back out, and then we can go to meter style. Meter style, we have casual, smart, looks pretty cool, tough, which is appropriate for this vehicle, I believe, and then sporty, which is pretty cool as well. So let's leave it on tough. Let's go back out of that. So yeah, you can customize the screen basically the way you want it, and both the information in the center, but also the actual, what it looks like. So overall, I think it's well done, and it has relevant information. Everything's visible. It seems a little busy, but of course you can customize that and kind of minimize all the stuff going on the screen. There's a start button, and speaking of a screen, here's the main touchscreen, and it's once again pretty straightforward because you don't have a lot of icons. So you have just main icons here on the left side, and then so there's the navigation right here, and luckily this one has a navigation map activated because you have to use your cell phone to activate it, and so normally I don't have access to that. You have to be the owner and sign into an account and all that stuff and agree to a bunch of privacy compromises to do this, but yeah, it seems to work well. And then the Bluetooth, or this is the audio, but the Bluetooth actually pairs and works really well. Let's go to radio. So there's the satellite radio, and there's different audio sources here. It does have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well. You can pair different phones. You have vehicle information, vehicle alerts here, and then last but not least is your settings. Now this is a full menu here, so each one of these has sub-menus as well, so you can set up everything the way you want it. Alright, and there's a physical volume knob. I like the way it has large knobs, so you can use these with the gloves on or whatever, and they have like a good texture to them, a little grippy surface there on the top. And so down here is the climate control. It does have heated and cooled seats, a 3-stage heated seat, 3-stage cooled seat here in the front for both the driver and passenger. Heated steering wheel as well. and you can set the temperature here for the driver and passenger. You can sync them with this button, and so now they're synced, so both the temperatures will be the same as I move it. But you notice it has this little screen right here, this blank right now. And the reason why it's blank is because I have it in automatic mode, so it just handles everything for you. But once we start changing things, it'll pop up here on the screen, and just keep the relevant information on the screen. And so you can start moving that, then it changes that, this pops up. So if you start touching things and customizing it, it'll show you what's customized. When you hit the automatic button, all that goes away. So it's not relevant anymore because you're not controlling each individual thing anymore. So I like the way they keep that simple. And I like these little toggle switches. They have little dimples on them. They feel good, they look good, and they're usable with gloves on and stuff like that. So yeah, it's nice. It's got like a cool handle right here. Bag holder is here as well. And then it has like these little MOLLE attachments here as well. Both there and there. So this area is fine. I mean, it has like a little place to put some stuff here on the right side. Kind of narrow, but say you want to stand up your phone or whatever, you could do that. There's a 12-volt power supply here. There's a little place to put a second phone. But there's the main part where you put your phone to charge. And I have a kind of a thick case here, so sometimes it doesn't charge, but it usually does. You know, make sure it's just pressed in place, and usually it will charge. It'll let you know if it's charging up here. I wish I had like a little status light or something that's more obvious, but especially when it doesn't consistently charge because of my case. So the shifter looks pretty good. I mean, it kind of gets in the way a little bit of some of this stuff. So like a push button shifter would be my preference, but it's fine. People are used to this like knife switch lever system. So there's reverse, neutral, drive. It has a standard mode in which you can bump through and change through the gears if you need to. Now, we go ahead and look at the camera now since we're in reverse. So the backup camera, this has a lot of functionality as far as cameras. It's not just a backup camera. Although it does have a backup camera, not in the very center though. As you can see, it's a little bit offset, so they have to give you a center line to show you where the center is. But, you know, that would be my criticism. Put the backup camera in the very center, right? And a little bit more integrated better to where it's not showing too much of the tag and stuff like that. Like in the center and just showing the edge of the bumper there, and in that way you can see backing up to a trailer, and you can also see all around the vehicle. Another thing is you can see it's a wide angle view, which gives you a good visibility, you know, left and right when you're backing out of parking spaces. This one's not quite as wide as some of them. Some of them give you actually a view both ways, like the actual front camera does this. But this is the view here. And it has active guidelines, or as I turn the steering wheel, it shows you that center line moving and stuff like that. Now you can customize that. You can hit that button there. We can have these lines if we want. So yeah, that's all good. And then we also have the top-down view. Once again, has the active guidelines on that. We can see all the way around the vehicle and what we're close to. Very important on this, on off-roading, to see around the vehicle. And since we don't have the best visibility here, we just have like a wall of dash and we can't really see the corners, we kind of have to rely on this camera. And so it does a good job, I would say. So we have these different views here. So let's just go ahead and put it in drive, so you can see the front view. You can see it's a super wide view, so we can actually see both ways. This is really nice, especially when there's obstructions. You're pulling out of a parking space or going around a corner, a tight street, you know, alleyway or something like that. This is really handy. It kind of looks funny, but when you actually see it, what it's doing. So that, you can see that curb is a little bit curved, but it's not curved as much as this is showing. And that's because it's showing the full view left and right in front of you. And we still have the top-down view. All right, so let's go ahead and put it in park. And there's a button here for the camera. Push that. And it just gives us this view. I wish it gave us the previous view. It gives us like a view that's not very useful, right? I would prefer, you know, the view we just saw, right? But when you're driving, you actually get this view. You can actually see this view, so you can keep an eye on your trailer. So it gives you a view right here at the bumper, so you can keep an eye on your attachments and stuff like that. Make sure you're not dragging a chain or whatever. If you hear a noise and you can quickly press that button, you can see what's going on back there. So while you're driving, if you hit that button, you can actually see what's going on back there as you're driving, which is great. So if you're driving, like right now we're in reverse, or let's go ahead and put it in drive, either way, you can use these buttons down here. So this top one right here gives us this view. And what it basically is doing is allowing us to get different angles, for as if we're standing next to the vehicle and we're looking at the vehicle, right? So we can get these views right here close to the vehicle, here, here, and here. And it's using all the cameras that are around the vehicle to kind of stitch together and give you this view. It's a real-time view. Now the vehicle's not, but right here around it, outside of this black box, is a real-time view. It's actually what's on the ground right now. And so like say if I move forward, you can see it moves with it. So this is handy for lots of different situations, parking or whatever, but off-roading especially. Okay, so you can see there is the ability to see the front view. We're in drive now, but we can switch that to the rear view if we want, even though we're in drive. We can see the front view, we can see the rear view, we can see the front tires. Basically it cuts away the vehicle and it just shows the front tires here. So you can see as I turn the steering wheel, you can see the tires are there popping out, and we can see precisely within inches of what we're getting, these tires and wheels are getting close to. So this is fantastic. And it actually has these lines right here, just kind of giving you a, you know, a guideline or whatever, and a straight line to navigate the vehicle. You know, this is actually, it looks, the way the camera is, it stitches the image together. It's a little bit distorted based on your, you know, what it looks like. So they give you these straight lines to show you if an object is here, right? Then when you press it, it zooms in. As you go down, this is the same distance from the vehicle here as there. So it's basically a straight line next to the vehicle. And then the same thing with the rear wheels. It cuts out the vehicle, and then we have a very precise look at close to those rear wheels. So once again, if there's a rock, if there's a tree, if there's a curb or whatever it is, we can get a very close look at it and make sure that we're not, you know, getting close and damaging the vehicle. We can also concentrate on one side or the other and see if there's, you know, let's say it's not as close as within view, we can kind of bump it over a little bit and get a better view there. We can have the active guidelines on or off here as well. So as we're driving, we can have those on. And then the automatic function is excellent. So as we slow down, I think it's like under 5 miles an hour, it'll go ahead and automatically pop up the screen. I love that. Very handy. Now we can toggle this on. This is more off-road focused stuff. Let's toggle that on. So now we have an off-road view here, and we have the pitch and roll, and we have the views here on the sides of the vehicle, both the front and rear tires. Front and rear tires. We have the front view. And it's super wide, includes the bumper and everything. All right, we can see everything in front of the vehicle. And then we have these lines showing you the tire tracks in yellow, the blue line, which is the width of the vehicle, the red line, which is, you know, very close to the bumper. So you don't want to get anything closer than that. So as I turn the steering wheel, you can see the tire tracks will change as I turn. And I've tested some of these lines on cameras, and they seem to be pretty darn accurate. It's amazing how well done these lines are, and you know how they overlay onto the camera in a way that's actually like within an inch or so accurate. It's really good. All right, so we can see the rear view here. There's this view, which is kind of like, I think Nissan calls this an invisible hood view. Basically, it's just kind of trying to make the vehicle invisible so we can see where the tires are in relationship to other things. And then there's the back view, wide back view. So this is the super wide view that I kind of wish that it had when you put it in reverse, but because you can see both directions behind the vehicle and everything. But yeah, it's good. You can also clean the cameras here. There we go. You can see it cleaning it. And that does a pretty good job. Even when it rains, there's little drips on the camera. And you know, this kind of helps out with that, even though it's adding more water. It's actually adding like a cleaner solution, which drips off the lens a little bit better. But yeah, especially if it's fogged or just dirty or whatever, that's handy to be able to do. So there's electronic parking brake that you can engage. Now, you can set it to where it automatically engage the parking brake when you put it in park. But to release it, you press and hold the brake and push it down. And this engages the rear wheels. So we're going to pull it back up to re-engage it. There's also a brake hold feature here if you'd like to use that. Here is the 4-wheel drive controls. So 2-wheel drive high is handy to have. You're just your normal driving. 4-wheel drive high, and then you have 4-wheel drive low. Now this dial switch right here, you have different buttons here. So now that says highlighted drive mode. So when I turn this, it shows what drive mode we're in: Eco, Normal, and Sport. And Sport actually changes the exhaust note slightly. Normal, Eco. If we engage 4-wheel drive and then we choose multi-terrain select, now we can choose one of these to here: automatic, dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow. But you do have to be in 4-wheel drive in order to utilize the multi-terrain select. You also have the crawl control and then a tow and haul there as well. So let's go ahead and put it back in 2-wheel drive high. We just press this button here, toggle it over here to 2-wheel drive high. There's a button here for the trailer backup guide system. You do have to set up a trailer in order for that to work. There's the camera, we already saw that. The locking rear differential. You can lock the rear, basically the differential in the back allows both sides of the tires to spin independently, right? But if one tire is spinning and you're stuck or whatever, or you don't want to get in that position, you can engage that in off-road conditions. This will help you, plow through a lot of stuff without just spinning one wheel. And then you have the stabilizer bar disconnect. So the stabilizer bar connects one side of the front of the wheel, the front side of the other in the front. And what happens is if one tire raises up higher, it tries to lift the other side, so that way your vehicle doesn't tilt too far. This limits how much articulation your suspension can go through. So if you disconnect it during off-road use, this is not the type of stuff you would want to have disconnected just normal highway driving or whatever. But off-road use, it allows your wheel to go up and down on one side much higher. So that way, if you're going over rocks or something like that, you can maintain ground contact a lot better disconnecting the stabilizer bar. So the cup holders are here, armrest is here, and it's not very soft. It's a little bit soft on the surface, but it bottoms out quickly. It's kind of like a memory foam feel. And it latches down, doesn't rattle, and it lifts it up, and then you have a little storage compartment here. No connectivity or anything like that, just a black felt lining in the bottom, which I would change to a lighter color. And then it has the rear view camera, which is excellent. So you have a rear view mirror, but also the rear view camera. So that way you have both views. Home link garage door button control is here, but on this side you have your different settings, which you can raise, lower, increase, decrease the brightness, all that stuff as well. But yeah, being able to just bypass everything behind you inside the vehicle, cargo, passengers, and all that stuff, see directly behind the vehicle is great. Really spoils you when you get used to a rear view camera. And mostly for highway and stuff. I can assume, off-road use as well. All right, there's a place to put your sunglasses or safety glasses, whatever, there. Individual tap lights here. You have the ability to raise and lower the rear glass here. It's actually raining right now, but let's just go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and show you what it looks like. It's pretty cool. It allows air to flow directly through the vehicle. If you crack the front window and open that, it just allows all the, just fresh air to just flow through instantly. It's great. Especially on a nice day, like a fall day or whatever, it starts to get cool. That's just really nice. So you have the roadside assistance button, which is covered up. Interior lights, you can turn all off, or turn all on, or have them turn on with the door in the center position. And then the visor is a cloth material. Wish it was vinyl. It's basically a very similar material as the headliner. And then there's the mirror with a light and a little place to put your ID or something there, I suppose. Now this does not pull out and slide, but it has this little extension there, which is pretty much a joke. It doesn't really give you good coverage here on the side. To some degree, it can help here on the front, but I prefer, like, it just, I don't know, if you're gonna slide it out, have a little bit larger or something. And it does add to your coverage instead of just shifting it, but in this particular case, it's just not really implemented that great. You know, it's all right, but wish it was a little bit better. Looking at the visibility here in the back, it's not really that great because we have that huge pillar right there, headrest that lines up perfectly with the window from my perspective, so it blocks the window when the seat's up anyway. So yeah, there's some visibility issues there that you'd have to get used to. The side mirrors, there's something about the side mirrors that sometimes it just, I don't know if they're just too small or what it is, but they're not all that great. That could be improved to get better visibility. And also you have these large pillars right here. It's kind of large. So, and from my perspective, it just looks like when I'm sitting here, it just looks like a wall of dash, and I can't see the corners of the vehicle. Even if I really lean forward, it's kind of hard to see the corners of the vehicle. So you do have to rely on this camera system to really, you know, see around when you're doing any off-roading, which is great. It's actually probably better than direct visibility here to some degree. But yeah, I mean, you know, just understand you have to utilize the camera, understand how to use the camera before you go out off-roading. So that way, since you're going to rely on it, you don't want to be trying to figure out how to use it right in the middle of a, you know, sticky situation or whatever.